So you can call it a bubble and you can dismiss it. But the potential of Bitcoin to be the default cash system of the internet and the default savings vehicle of the internet is so extraordinary.
Something very interesting is happening with Bitcoin as we head into 2026.
I would argue that the risk is not owning Bitcoin, the risk is not owning Bitcoin, if that makes sense.
You see, Bitcoin OG whales have just stopped selling. Last time Bitcoin went up 50% was when this happened, meaning this was the exhaustion level when the sellers of Bitcoin finally got exhausted.
Everyone should have an allocation in their portfolio, and don't try and use the fact that I don't understand it as an excuse, because most people don't understand how the combustion engine works and they still own a car. Most people don't understand hypertext transfer protocol and they still use the internet.
Dips don't last forever, just like rallies. Just like rallies don't last forever. Eventually, the sellers get exhausted, like here, and now presumably like here, just like buyers get exhausted, like here, like here, like here. 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Watch today's whole video so you understand everything. Big things are happening behind the scenes. But again, long-term Bitcoin holders have stopped selling for the first time since July. This is showing the long-term holder supply net position change by 30 days. And we can see the long-term Bitcoin holders have stopped offloading their position. Now, will they go into the net positive? Will they start buying? I'm going to keep tabs on this. And while many Bitcoin investors did believe that Bitcoin would end this year higher, including me, including John Hare.
Prediction-wise, I think people like myself need to eat a little bit of crow because I would have got the year-end prediction wrong. I thought for sure we would be something higher than the 80s or 90s or 100K. So I'll just start by saying that.
But the short-term price action does not invalidate the trend that fundamentals and macro this whole year are only getting better.
But I think when you look at the macro backdrop for 2026, I think it is just hugely supportive. And if you contrast it with prior bear markets in Bitcoin, things like inflation, interest rates, central bank balance sheets, federal spending, valuation metrics for Bitcoin, market access with things like the ETFs, institutional promotion and institutional adoption, they're just all better now. They're just all objectively better now than they were in the past. So I think that supportive backdrop plus new announcements coming out will be what propels Bitcoin higher in 2026. It'll be announcements like we heard in the last few months. Just to name a few, Harvard, a $50 billion Ivy League endowment, their largest publicly reportable position is Bitcoin. Middle East sovereign wealth funds own a healthy chunk of Bitcoin. Vanguard finally capitulated, and their 10 trillion of client assets can now have access to the Bitcoin ETFs. And B of A Merrill Lynch recently put out a paper that was basically saying, hey, we're now supportive of, I think it was 1% to 4% of an allocation to Bitcoin and crypto in client portfolios. So those are just huge announcements, in my opinion. And I think they will continue.
And of course, which altcoins continue to make progress into 2026?
People say, oh, well, won't this kill Cardano? No, this is what's going to 10x the Cardano DeFi ecosystem.
Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson explains how Midnight, which is a side chain, a partner chain for Cardano, is set to supercharge Cardano DeFi and 10x it, despite the recent ADA dip.
Because at the end of the day, let's do the thought experiment. Let's think about it. Let's say Leo ships and Hydra ships, and we're better, faster, and cheaper. Great. What reason does someone have to leave Solana, and what reason does someone have to leave Ethereum? Because the transaction fee is 3% less? Okay, that's really going to get migration. That's going to get users to come over. They're going to leave because they don't have to leave. They could go through Midnight to Cardano, and they get privacy. They do something new and different. Midnight, my view, will be through hybrid applications. And if Cardano's first to upgrade Cardano applications utilizing Midnight, will be able to get all kinds of new users and experiences, private prediction markets, private dexes, private stable coins. And I'm just maybe, when you look at Bitcoin DeFi and you think about Bitcoin DeFi, maybe, just maybe, all those Bitcoin people are going to want to trade on a private DEX instead of a public DEX. I don't know. Maybe they care about that. Maybe that's something that's significant, meaningful to them. And maybe we'll have volumes in the billions of dollars of turnaround every single day.
So big things happening in Cardano, big things happening for BitTensor Tau. Grayscale moves towards exchange listing for Tau Trust in the US. Now this is a first. Grayscale files for the very first US BitTensor ETP exchange traded product. As decentralized AI gains momentum, meaning if you believe artificial intelligence will still be a trend next year in the years to follow, which I personally do, AI is not over by any means. This filing marks the first attempt to bring Tau, BitTensor's native token, to US markets through a regulated investment product. And remember, this is what came before the Bitcoin ETF. In the Ethereum ETF, Grayscale brought products like this to the US market. We also have news involving Ethereum. But by the way, anybody interested in mining Bitcoin for the tax incentives to accumulate Bitcoin without having to buy it, just mine it. Tax reminder, since the year's ending. Bitcoin mining isn't just about yield, it's one of the largest tax advantages available today. Due to a section in the tax code, Section 179, there's something called bonus depreciation. And because they are a channel partner, I will link this down below. I did a dedicated video called How to Make $38 per Day Mining Bitcoin, Pay Zero Tax. Musk miners. Link down below if you are interested in mining Bitcoin. And something interesting is happening with Ethereum. Large investors are currently buying Ethereum while retail investors are selling Ethereum. Meaning retail is selling to whales/institutions in this uncertain time. You don't really need to be a genius to understand what's next. We see Ethereum retail and large investor holdings. Remember, retail are small potatoes, people like you, like me, versus large investors that have large holdings. Large investors in this bluish purple shooting up, while retail investor holdings are slowly declining down. I would really try and follow the large investors because retail investors are more associated with sort of uneducated. They'll react to fear versus holding through the dips. Retail tends to sell during fear, while large investors tend to buy for multi-year. So they're different buyer personas here. And if large investors are accumulating, I want to be accumulating or at least holding me. Also something to consider. This has been the second worst year ever for Ethereum and altcoins. And still, some people say 2025 was a bull market. No, not really. If you were holding altcoins, it was one of the worst years ever to hold them. But what gets suppressed down has to go up eventually, like a beach ball being pushed down underwater, cannot be suppressed forever. Like always, see you tomorrow.